everyone. Thank you for attending my webinar, which is we're going to talk about cyber liability, specifically with the SafetyTek E&O that I offer. But I just really wanted to use today's webinar to help some of our agents define and understand the cyber liability risk exposures, who needs it, talk about some highlighted forms, definitions included in my form. And I also have Megan Piney with me today, who handles the standalone cyber liability. And she's also been working with USLI, one of our newly appointed insurance carriers. And we just kind of wanted to do a big loop, start off the new year talking about one of the hot topics. So one thing at the very end, we'll go through all of our slides. I will be sending out a follow-up email, which will include all of our slides. And I will also have some links that will provide you with some applications, whether that be a technology risk or if you're looking for a standalone cyber form, I will include that application as well. And on the slides, we'll also include our contact information should you have any questions. On the right-hand side, we do have the GoToWebinar control panel. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask, we will do a quick little Q&A at the end. So if you have any little questions that you want to ask, we can most certainly try to answer them. If it's something that we may not know, Megan's new to the professional liability side and cyber. We may have to get some answers for you, but we will try to get everything cleared up before we end the webinar. So let's go ahead and I will get started. So first of all, just our quick little rundown. I'm going to go over this pretty quickly. I see a lot of agents that we work with on a regular basis. Who we are, Stuckey & Company. We've been around for almost 27 years in business. We run 9 specialty insurance programs. We have a 151 promise, which is a quick turnaround service. We try to get everything in by 1, out by 5. If it comes in after 5 o'clock, we'll get it back to you the next day in the afternoon. Sometimes Megan and I were pretty quick. We can usually get things done within a couple hours as long as it's within our authority. And we're currently serving over 204,000 customers. So we've got a pretty broad appetite to make a lot of our agents happy, because I know you guys write in a lot of different directions and coverages. So some of the things that we do at Stuckey & Company, we are an MGA. That was kind of what our start was, managing general agent. The first product we became MGA with was the SafetyTek, which is written through Chubb. So we create programs, we underwrite in-house, we can rate and quote. I have the authority for binding and issuing policies and endorsing on the SafetyTek E&O, which is some of you that are new, just to kind of reiterate, that's for our technology clientele. So we'll invoice, we do a lot of agency bill system integrations. If you are interested in any APIs, we can hook you up with Dwight and he can get you integrated into our systems. We will also do claims. We do marketing and then training, which today we want to do a little bit of training on the cyber coverage. So here's just a quick overview of the specialty programs. As I mentioned, the SafetyTek for your technology clients. We have A&E, Harbor Guard, MPL, which Megan and I have taken over and really launched MPL programs and getting in with USLI, Westchester, CFC, some of our top 3 carriers that we've been working with. So we're learning a lot on that. We've got a green energy industry program. Personal lines, we now have nationwide on personal lines. So if there's any personal lines agents on there that interested in nationwide, that was our new carrier that we got end of last year. Commercial lines, and then of course anything that doesn't fall within the standard lines, we do have a non-standard commercial lines department, and that's typically surplus lines. So again, today we're going to really go over cyber liability, dig down and give some definitions, what's considered liability, some coverage forms and language and definitions that you really need to look for and consider when you're talking with your clients. And again, Megan is with me today, so she has some hot topics to discuss towards the end, kind of little tidbits for you guys that'll help with helping your clients in the cyber exposure. So cyber liability is defined as legal responsibility for cyber properties, data, and it can include your emails, websites, hacker attacks on websites, networks, breaches in networks, or conducting business over the internet in general. Just to list a few of the types of cyber liability coverages to consider, of course, one of the most expensive is your notification expenses. And Megan will give us some highlights on the notification expense and what a typical claim would cost on that. Credit monitoring, of course, once a breach occurs, you have potential data loss. You want to make sure that you are helping your clients rebuild and keep the rest of their network and information secure. Perfect, just what I said, rebuild reputation. Business interruption and electronic content. Electronic content is not something that I always think of when I think of cyber liability, but electronic content is something that is disseminated over the internet, and anyone can have access to that should they get access to a network. So that's something else to keep in mind. The other thing that you should discuss with your clients, and even for some of yourselves as agents E&O, when you talk about cyber liability, you've got a few different exposures. You're going to have first party versus third party. So I kind of wanted to break it down so you have a reference when you're talking to your clients and reviewing your own insurance E&O. First party data is the insured's data, where they are not hired to secure. So we have a lot of accounts where you're storing your employees' information for tax purposes, direct deposits, your client's billing information, your vendor's information. So you're not hired to secure that particular data. That's just information that you have on your network. So that's your first party data exposure. Third party data is more for our technology clients, where they are actually hired to secure data. They're hired to secure networks, to upload security software, where your breaches can occur, web hosting, should somebody actually get access to your website, and electronic data, as I mentioned before. One particular claim, just kind of to touch briefly on someone who was updating a software, they had to turn off the firewall to do the update. When they finished the update, they failed to turn back on the firewall. So little bitty mistakes like that can cause a lot for a company. So when you're talking to some of your tech clients, just a couple of things to point out and remind them, exposure concerns that they might have and not think about. So I wanted to throw out here, when I talked about electronic content, not something that I always come, first think of when I think about cyber, but some of the content and this specific wording language is from my SafetyTek form. So these are the things that we're trying to cover. So data, of course, the text, the sound, images, anything disseminated electronically over the internet, advertising, some of your advertising services where you're developing logos, that's more of an infringement, electronic infringement, and that's something cyber liability policies will pick up and should pick up. So when you're looking at your coverage forms, we'll make sure that you're getting that type of coverage as well. And of course, discussing what exposure the client or your insured has. Network operations security. This is kind of interchangeable with privacy liability. Again, this was the SafetyTek, so this is specifically towards a technology client. But I wanted to throw out some of the terms that are being used when a lot of companies or insurers are looking for cyber liability. Privacy regulation, which is the control and use of the personal identifiable, and it could be financial, medical, or other sensitive information. And it lists some acts down there that you can review. Something I've noticed, particular states will state what is personal identifiable information, and a lot of times there's has to be in combination with. So of course, if maybe you lost only the name and email address of your clients, that is not personal identifiable information. It usually has to be in combination with a social security number, medical or healthcare information, driver's license number, state identification number, or any other non-public information as defined by some of the privacy regulations. So you definitely want to make sure you know the laws in the state that you're writing cyber liability coverage in and where your client is located. Network operation security will continue. This again is kind of language from our SafetyTek form, but it talks about this refers to first party coverage where it's the insured's computer system, and it can be leased, owned, or operated by the insured, solely for the benefit of the insured by a third-party service provider, which has to be under a written contract with the insured. But again, this is all referring to the insured's first-party network operations security exposure, unauthorized access and unauthorized use. Data breach fund. I talked earlier about the notification expense. My particular form has a data breach fund. We start at $250,000. We can go up to $5 million on a contract basis. So it's something that we can most certainly take a look at for you. But some of the things the SafetyTek form will include is going to be the third-party forensics to determine how the scope of failure occurred, the notification expense, and it does include voluntary notification, credit monitoring, retraining a lawyer or public relation firm to help with a crisis management to protect and restore the insured's reputation, law firm services to determine indemnification rights of the independent contractors that could also be involved. So that kind of wraps up some of the exposures and concerns. Something I wanted to offer to you as well is some importance of the cyber liability coverage and maybe other reasons why clients are coming to you. It could just be their overall needs, a contractual requirement. That's something Megan and I are seeing quite a bit of. A lot of policies that we're binding here lately are based on contractual requirements. Professional liability, GL, your cyber, additional insurance, waiver of subrogation, some other cyber liability definitions that can be in that contract. So you want to make sure we're reviewing the contract in detail with your clients. State regulatory guidelines, which I had mentioned earlier. What does a state require as a breach? What are the regulatory guidelines for people doing businesses in those states? And then, you know, the whole idea of this is to protect the insured from a devastating financial loss. And I wanted to throw together some questions that you can ask your customers that will help you get a feel of, you know, who they are, what they're doing. Just additional information a lot of our carriers are requiring for cyber liability coverage. First of all, of course, contractual requirements is top-notch. What's the breakdown of their services? Do they provide more than one service? Who are their clients? Specifically, who are their clients? I will tell you a lot of our carriers look for medical exposure. You know, medical data is something that a lot of breaches are occurring on. So who are their clients? Is it the industry in the healthcare? What's the end use of the software? What network security procedures do they have in place? One big key one is the number of records that contain personal identifiable information. And then we all want to make sure that the personnel working for the client is trained on the security awareness, specifically by state, the company's security procedures that are in place. So in closing, when you're thinking about talking with your clients, I've actually had a carrier rep talk to me, and they are seeing insurance agents that make a checklist. So to protect your own E&O, it's a good idea to create a checklist, and you can, you know, general liability, workers' comp, give them an idea of what it covers, potential risk or claims for those particular coverages. And if they're not taking those coverages like E&O, cyber liability, the important coverages, go ahead and have them just sign off an initial. It does help on the agent's E&O side, kind of helps you with a little bit of peace of mind and make sure that you're offering what you can. And if they choose not to take it, that's fine, but you know, it kind of puts the particular situation back on your client. Just helps protect you a little bit. So that pretty much wraps up the cyber liability. Again, just wanted to give you guys some things to look out for, some definitions. I would like to, I know Megan, like I said, has got a few hot points to talk about, and I thought her information was really good too. So Megan, if you would like to.
Yeah, So as Maggie said, you know, we can do cyber liability with her SafetyTek program. We can also offer standalone coverage. Just some helpful facts for all of you and to possibly tell your clients. 85% of data breaches occur at small businesses. So that's a lot, that's most of them, and it's a really big deal to a small business. 60% of those small businesses victimized by cybercrime usually shut down within 6 months. Let's see what else. The average data breach cost is $188 per record, so that's per person that is affected. So that can get pretty pricey pretty quick. You know, U.S. companies reported $40 billion in losses from unauthorized use of computers by employees last year. So you need to keep this coverage in mind, not only for tech businesses, but this is pretty big for retail businesses and financial institutions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You just hit on something too that is probably kind of a good selling point on the SafetyTek. You talked about employees using the computers or someone accessing computers. We offer on the SafetyTek innocent insured. So as long as the owners of the company are not aware of a disgruntled employee, that's something that's picked up on my form. So again, something you probably want to think about and consider when you're comparing coverages. So good point there.
Yeah, there's actually a fun fact here that employee error, but then also malicious insiders, so an employee, account for 59% of security incidents in the last year. So that's definitely very important.
Kind of goes back to the specific one I noted earlier. It was a particular claim I had read about where, you know, the guy had done a software update, had to take down the firewall, and then failed to put it back up. So absolutely, just employee general error, not intentional, but it does happen. So again, good points to talk about with clients. Both tech and non-tech. Up here is our contact information. I did include, I will include when I send out my follow-up, Tyler Bechtold heads up our new business development side. So if you're a new agent and would like to look at some additional carriers that we write with or have additional questions, you can always reach out to Tyler as well. One other thing, I have a brochure I will be sending out too, which you can hand out to your tech clients, and it gives them a little checklist with some definitions. It's just good information for your clients to have.
You know, Maggie mentioned I'm the, you know, non-tech underwriter. So if you guys are interested in cyber liability, I'm guessing you have other professional accounts. So we do have a pretty strong professional market outside of tech, so definitely keep us in mind for any E&O other than tech we can also write.
And we're admitted in, I think, all but 3 states for the SafetyTek. Virginia, Louisiana. Louisiana is a touchy state, it seems. We do not write in Alaska or Hawaii, but we can most definitely get you guys some quotes. So we would love to see what you have on your desk. Any submissions that you have, please feel free. If you have last year's application, we can offer indications off of that as well. So please do reach out to Megan or I. We'd love to talk to you or hopefully get a submission and you can see what we can do, get you some good prices and some good coverage. So I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you very much for joining the webinar. Reach out to us if you have questions. Have a good day.